So anytime we're working with a graph, as you saw on page one, that's what we call a coordinate system or rectangular coordinate system. And so this page just kind of gives you some general information about things. And so I want to point some things out for you, just so as we're going through this, things that you can look at. So the origin is always 0, 0. Remember, an ordered pair has an input and an output, and that's always 0, 0. And the ordered pair is what we call the address to the point. So it's you're talking to us about the input and the output. And remember, the input comes along the horizontal axes, and the output is along the vertical axes. And it's also in alphabetical order, so I comes before O, and this is just like your GPS. So you always need a latitude and a longitude so you can be found. So you need two pieces. The coordinate system is broken up into four pieces, which are called quadrants, and they actually go in counterclockwise order from starting with the upper right, and then quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. We want to, as we saw in the previous page, in page one, we talked about how we would figure out those tick marks, and that's called how we scale the graph. So those are, we want to make sure that there's equal distance, and this is no different than making a number line, horizontal number line, but we want equal distance between those consecutive tick marks, which is called scaling. So now let's look and identify. So in quadrant 1, we have positive and positive. This is called the positive quadrant. In quadrant 2, we're going to go left. So this is negative, and then we're going to go up, which is positive. Quadrant 3, we go left, which is negative, and we go down, which is also negative. So this is the negative, negative quadrant. And then for quadrant 4, we go to the right, so that's positive. Remember, we're always going left and right first. Oops. Left and right first, up and down is second. It's kind of like thinking about you're laying in bed first, and then you get up. And so we're horizontal first, and then vertical second. So this is the positive, negative quadrant. So on the next page, back to that previous graph on page 1, we want to identify, first of all, what quadrant is the point 1050, and we want to plot this point. So we're going to look for 10 to the right, because that's the input value, and 50 up. And so we have to figure out how this is scaled. And then our point is right here. And this is our point 1050. Now, what does it mean? So that would mean that we have at 10 degrees Celsius, because temperatures are input, the altitude is 50 kilometers above the Earth's surface. And again, we have an input part of our statement and an output part of our statement. So when we look for the point negative 20 and 37, so this time we're going to go left to negative 20 and then up to 37, which would be this point right here. So this is negative 20, comma 37. And then what does that point mean? Well, again, we're talking about temperature first. So at 20 degrees Celsius below zero. There really isn't anything, and we could say up here in question 2 at 10 degrees Celsius above zero, but generally we don't say that, but we definitely have to indicate that we are below zero here. Temperatures really aren't negative, so I know sometimes we might hear that on the news, but we're really talking about temperatures below zero. So at 20 degrees Celsius below zero, the altitude is 37 kilometers above Earth's surface. Again, an input part of the statement and an output part of the statement. So we want to talk about next is this idea of a vertical intercept. So a vertical intercept is the point where the graph crosses the vertical axis. And the horizontal intercept is the point where the graph crosses the horizontal axis. But one thing we want to note, in a vertical intercept, we know that the input value is always 0. So it's 0 comma something. In a horizontal intercept, the output value is always 0. So it's some input value comma 0. So we want to list the ordered pairs that from the graph above that are on the horizontal intercept. So we're going to look for anything that has an input value of some value and an output value of 0. So this is a horizontal intercept. And then our vertical intercepts, there's going to be one here, here, and a third one right here. These are all vertical intercepts. And so now we can list those ordered pairs as it looks like 15 comma 0 is our horizontal intercept. And again, the output value is 0 in a horizontal intercept. And now it looks like we have 2.5. And then, so let's just write these. So we have 0 comma 2.5. That's the first one. And again, we have 3 of these. So we're going to have 0 comma and then 2.5. And then we're going to have another one that is 0 comma something, and a third one 0 comma and some other value. So let's look up. And that one, it probably just under 45, so maybe it's 43. And then up here, it looks like it crosses right at 55. So let's go ahead and say 43 and 55. So these are special points. Vertical intercept, again, is where the graph crosses the vertical axes, and a horizontal intercept is where the graph crosses the horizontal axes.